I left a comment on your live stream. It was earlier regarding the tribes here in Arizona and the colonial offices known as the Bureau of Indian Affairs,
Yeah.
and how they have a stranglehold on the economy in our tribe.
Okay.
You know, we're being ravaged by COVID-19. Our healthcare is socialized, drugs, domestic abuse, everything is rampant here on the reservation.
Yeah.
And I guess what I want to know, or what I want to ask, is that do we have a platform for Native Americans? Uh,
That is an excellent question. Let me ask you something. Which tribe are you in?
I am Navajo.
You're a Navajo. And so may I ask you, are you in one of the reservations where private ownership of the property is not allowed, where it's all owned by the I guess by Department of Interior or Department of Indian Affairs?
Yes, sir. It is
Okay.
all
And
privately owned, including our resources. We can't even develop our lands. We can't build roads. We can't build stores. There is no free market on the
yeah.
reservations.
Yep. And that is the bit, I would imagine that even though you were talking about specific problems like COVID-19 and, rampant, drug abuse and substance abuse and all of
Yeah,
the terrible problems, all of that, in my belief, is routed in the fact that you have been corralled into an area and not allowed to have stewardship and ownership of what is rightfully yours. That's my opinion. And
correct.
while I don't believe that we have an actual, a specific Indian or native or indigenous people's plank in our plan. I think that we should, and I think that it would be based essentially on allowing you. This is land that was reserved to you after multiple broken treaties and essentially the violent theft of your land to allow for endless expansion of people coming in to form this country largely at your expense. And I think that it is incumbent upon us, the descendants of people who came here as part of that expansion, to at the very least, allow you to have stewardship and ownership of what is rightfully yours so that you can help build yourselves, much in the same way that we were just talking about removing the harmful occupational licensing and other barriers that harm the
Hmm.
poor, that keep the poor in poverty. I think we should also remove those barriers for you, not just in those types of
Yes.
licensing and things like that, but also in allowing you to have ownership of what is, again, rightfully yours. And I would actually, would it be possible for you to reach out to me, to message me, to talk, to maybe just give me kind of a brief,
Yeah.
cursory understanding of the kind of things that you face? Because I would be very happy to hear what you have to say, because I will admit that this is not something I'm an expert on. I have a brief understanding of some of the situations that are facing natives, especially on the reservations. And one of the biggest ones, as I understand it, is that in almost all of them, individual private ownership of the property is not allowed because the government claims ownership of all of it. And I would be
Correct.
very happy to hear what you have to say and be able to, form a more detailed and coherent policy. Because when we talk about the people who were, whose land was essentially stolen violently and under both violent and fraudulent pretenses, and we talk about the people that were imported over here against any kind of moral code to be forced to do labor on it. These are two groups that libertarians who believe inherently in reducing and ending and rectifying the harm that has been done by government. I think it is incumbent upon us to have very strong and bold and clearly formed and detailed and formulated plans for those two groups, for natives and for the descendants of chattel slavery. So I would be very happy if you could reach out to me either on Muddy Waters or on my page, Spike Cohen, Your Next VP, and just kind of give me a breakdown. And I'll probably want to talk with you a little bit about it if that's okay.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
And I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I don't think I caught your name. What is your name?
My name is.
Uh,
Yes,
when
sir.
you reach out to me, just make sure that you say, I'm the one that you spoke with on, because as you can imagine, I get a tremendous amount of messages. I want to make sure that I know specifically who I'm talking with, that we were the ones who talked about the situation with on the Navajo reservation.
Awesome. Yeah, you have a lot of support here, man.
That
It's
means a
just,
lot. Thank you.
locating, activating, and getting them all ready, behind you guys.
Absolutely.
Because the land that we own, it's, we're on leased land. It's not even our land. The same thing goes with the resources. Our
Well,
resources are privatized. The Bureau of Indian Affairs controls all aspects of our lives,
yeah.
including, how much land we can owe, how much livestock. A good majority of our economy comes from livestock. And
Right.
even to this day, they're asking us, reduce your livestock, reduce your livestock. People can't live like this.
Of course not. Of course not. Of course not. And we wouldn't tolerate it we ourselves wouldn't tolerate it. And yet, we've kind of sort of shrugged our shoulders and made peace that this is how we're treating natives. And I think a lot of people just don't know. So I think that this will be a very big part of anything I'm doing, is in talking about, a perfect example of the harm done by government. Robbed you of what was rightfully yours, put you on your own property, leased it to you, and told you how to use it. I think that's absolutely disgusting. That is, by every measure, rightfully yours. It should be yours to be able to use in the manner that you, both as individuals and as a community, see fit to be able to solve the problems that you are facing, which are largely being caused by the government that imposed that on you. So I would be very happy to talk with you moving forward on this.